All right, let's get started. Hi, Evan. How are you?
I'm doing great, Julia.
Perfect. So, Evan and I are here in Montreal, having a wonderful time walking along, and so I thought maybe we could do an interview and get to know Evan a little bit better. I guess before we get started, I should get your permission to publish this on the internet.
Absolutely, you have my permission to publish this on the internet.
Thank you. So, all right, let's start off maybe when you're a little bit younger or starting to get interested in technology. Like, when did you first become interested in technology?
My father worked in technology, so he was the product manager for Texas Instruments on the Speak and Spell. He worked for a number of other technology companies, so he used to bring home computers or gadgets. You know, I have three brothers, and we were like a test market of four that he could, you know, kind of throw stuff at and see if we liked it. So I've been, you know, playing around with computers since I was about 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So did you study computer science, or what was kind of...
I did physics at UC Berkeley.
Oh,
and
okay.
I did also creative writing, so I did a dual degree at UC Berkeley. But you know, working in the hard sciences, you do a lot of computer programming. You know, that's how you manage instruments, that kind of thing. So I was doing a lot of computer programming, and by the time I left college, I had a lot better options for, you know, being a well-paid programmer than being a poor graduate student. So
Yeah, I can relate to that.
yeah.
So, was there someone in technology or in the working world that inspired you in terms of either your career or for technology, or both? I guess maybe your dad for
My
the
dad
technology
definitely.
side.
You know, just a part of my. Just having it be a part of my life as a kid, but you know, also the people I worked with in technology at UC Berkeley, and you know, getting out and finding out a lot about the, you know, professional developer culture, and you know, working with professional developers was just definitely really inspiring, and learning about, you know, that kind of folklore that people have and how they kind of, you know, it's a pretty special culture. So,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And especially in Montreal, it seems to be a pretty tight-knit group. And
Yeah, definitely here we have a, you know, it's not a huge technology hub, and a lot of the you know, a lot of the consumer-oriented technology, like websites and stuff, are developed for the Quebec market, where you know, as the French-speaking part of North America, there's a limited number of people who in that market. So a lot of the websites are kind of inward facing, but we're you know, but the technology, the people who are here, we all know each other, we get involved with each other, we see each other at events, we're really mutually supportive. You know, people who are in big organizations, small organizations, independent, whatever it is, inside the universities, outside, you know, everybody's kind of working together, because we all kind of feel like there's a lot to do here.
that's great. That's a nice environment. I know
Yeah.
that in other areas of Canada, I've heard it's a bit fragmented. So it's
Yeah.
nice that you have a good community here.
Yeah, it is. It's strong. It's kind of surprising too, because we do have, you know, a language divide. There are Anglophones and Francophones here, but it's definitely like a lot of great cross-pollination. It never seems to be a problem.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So in technology, what do you think is the next big thing?
Oh wow. You know, I think that probably the continued polarization of machines. You know, the separation of the kind of desktop paradigm into kind of always-on mobile devices that we see, either tablets or cell phones, smartphones, and then using cloud computer resources, you know, in the cloud. So really kind of separating between, you know, what you run on the server and what you run on a less enabled device that sits in your pocket or is relatively small. So I think that we're going to be seeing that happen much more, and you know, the kinds of applications that we'll see happening, over the next few years, I think are going to be more attuned to that kind of paradigm than they have been up until now.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard to predict too.
Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah. I think it's definitely something that we're we need to keep an eye out for. I think also we've seen a big swing over the last, say, few years towards a lot of centralization on the internet. Very large sites, and I think that we're going to see a little bit of a swing back away from that. So more sites that, as some of the technologies that we see on the web, like geo, social networking, etc., become important for businesses, they're going to want to take more control of that information, incorporate it into their own internet infrastructure, and that's going to be a different kind of connectivity for internet, for people on the internet and internet sites.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, so for your typical day, kind of walk me through your day.
Yeah.
I know you have kids and a wife, and so your day probably is starts early and ends late.
Yeah, well, I'm usually the first one up. I try and get up and have some time to check my email and see what happens, what happened overnight. And then once my kids are up, I'm kind of in the shoot. But we have a beautiful office in the Plateau Montreal, so which is about 6 blocks away from my house, which is one of the perks of being the boss. So I get to, as long as there's not too much snow on the ground, I usually get to walk to work. Once I'm in work, so we use, my company, we use social networking technologies to stay in touch when we're offline. So, by the time I get to the office, I already know what people are up to and what they're doing, what their status is, and I'm able to kind of be more focused on my own work by that time, instead of being flooded by new information. But I definitely try to make time during my day to meet with people in the local technology community, take my lunches or get coffee with investors, with other entrepreneurs, with people in our open source community. So, and definitely, there are a lot of parts to being in a technology company, but you always have to maintain that social level too.
That's great. Well, that sounds like a good sort of combination and balance.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it's also necessary. It's where you make your business is out of keeping those connections and those networks. Yeah.
So then, when do you normally head home?
If I'm lucky, I go home around about 7. If nothing bad has happened, if I'm having a bad day, it can be 10.
Oh my goodness!
But if I'm lucky, I put kids to sleep. So one of the best pieces of advice I've gotten is use the time between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. That's your best time to get work done, no distractions. So I try and get home early enough that I can spend time with my family, get everybody to sleep, and then be working late at night.
Then you're on again, huh?
Back on again. But it's nice and quiet. Nobody's people aren't bothering me, and I have a chance to actually get some hands on writing documents or whatever I need to do. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm impressed. I don't know when you sleep, but
sleep. We'll sleep when we get acquired. That's the way I figure it.
All right, gotcha. Okay, so let's change the subject a little bit to your relationship with Microsoft. So compared to about a year ago, how has the relationship changed? And or not necessarily a year ago, but when you started working with Microsoft.
I think that I'm going to be kind of frank here. I think that a lot of people in the open source world, and especially with web software, when we have questions about Microsoft technologies, or especially on the server side, it's like, well, we've come from Unix background, and we've developed our software towards Unix background, and a lot of our people are deploying on it, so we just don't have the time and energy to work with Microsoft platforms. And I think that happens a lot with web developers. And so I know that when we were having questions about using our software on Microsoft platforms, it was a lot of like, well, we don't have the bandwidth, we don't have the time to get this done. We were lucky enough to get some outreach from Microsoft saying, you know, what can we do to help out, you know, to bring things on. So we've been able to, you know, get our software working on Microsoft technologies, and it's really given us a better, you know, a better understanding of where things are, and let us kind of focus more on that. I mean, I don't think any business can reasonably just ignore the Microsoft market and that platform. And you know, I think that it's been, you know, if it had been up to me, I wouldn't know where to start to start approaching that. And so it was really great to get that kind of outreach from Microsoft, and have people in your group kind of, you know, help us make those connections, and start moving forward with it.
Oh, that's great to hear. And
Yeah.
we're happy to be making connections and working with you. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So would you say that in terms of interoperability and being more open, would you say that either your perception has changed or it actually has changed the technology? Or are you just you're not sure if you have a comparison?
I think that at least in terms of organizationally, there's a lot of openness, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that we've had that kind of outreach and people coming to us and saying, what can we do to reach you, has been, you know, hugely important for us, and it's definitely changed the way that we think about, you know, Microsoft the organization. I think that as far as the technology is concerned, you know, that personal openness translates into some openness on the technology. The fact that Microsoft's willing to work with us to bring our PHP-based software to the Microsoft platform, making sure that things work out, is really great. And I think that really means, you know, it's the people and the technology become more open.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Well, I guess back to a little more personal stuff, enough
Sure.
Microsoft stuff. Do you have a favorite motto or a favorite quote?
A favorite motto or a favorite quote? No, I have to pass on that one. I don't have a very good one for that one.
Sure.
I can't think of anything right now, so I probably should know that one.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what about? Do you have a favorite drink?
Yes, I do. So, my normal drink's a Kettle One and soda for a cocktail, but when during the daytime, I'm usually found with a grande latte, non-fat. So that's where I go. So I probably drink more coffee than is good for me, but
well, I think you probably have to, given the schedule you gave me.
it's a necessary part of the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's awesome, Evan, and thanks for the interview.
Okay.
Oh, we have a guest here. We really appreciate you taking the time to share a little bit about your life, and we're excited to be working with you. So.
Well, thanks a lot. I'm really glad to be working with you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.